The Luck SMP. A name I haven't said on this channel in quite a while because honestly, I've put it on the back burner. I've taken a step away. But I think it might be time to come back around to it. I mean, there's plenty of story, there's plenty of drama, there's plenty of plot that I've just been gnawing at myself to share with all of you guys. So, I think I'm going to catch you up real quickly. And by real quickly, I mean in around 40-ish minutes. You get the entirety, Season 1, all the way to where we are at Season 7. And then I'll be explaining the lore. So, if you do wish to begin your journey with the Luck SMP, as this phenomenon on my channel comes back, now is your time to do so. Here is your place to do so. So let's go on a Luck SMP Grand Tour. We're going to be starting off here with Season 1. Of course, we're going straight in with creative because, you know, copy world, nothing too important. But over here, we have our little Jay's old little tree base, I guess I should say. I am the one who built this dome part. That's why I sort of referred to it as mine. Little Jay's farm over here. Jay's tower over there too. Of course, Jay and I were the two most active members this whole season, so. But I think that's all Jay ended up doing, so, you know, I'm definitely more active. Over here, this is my starting base. This is my friend's Wyatt's, his old base. Of course, he didn't play very much or for very long, but he did play at least a little bit. Over here, we have, you know, the shopping district. This was, you know, it was that same, like, sort of Hermitcraft idea of a shopping district, but of course we didn't have enough members for it to happen. Here is a small little base of lilies. Of course, nothing too big, nothing too remarkable, but, you know, it was there. This is my first mega base. You know, not the greatest, not the best, but it definitely exists. Over there, we have a bit of a farm that I've set up. It was an automatic bread and carrot farm. And over here we have Caroline's one and only house across all 7 to 10 seasons, I guess you could call it, if you count all the 0.5 seasons. So this is Caroline's only impact on the world, sadly, although it is a pretty good house. Moving on to Season 2. Okay, so starting off here, we are down at the bottom of the shaft, because this is where I ended the tour last time, and of course, this is the second take of this video, which is always amazing. But, if I could sprint, this is Project 887B. Over there, it was originally... I've gone back and forth with the title of this. It was originally built as 887B. That's what it was built as. That is what it was originally called. But I'm sort of starting to regret that, because 887B, its whole meaning has sort of been changed to mean a different entity instead of the one it used to mean. Now, before we start this part of the tour over here in the main shopping district, I do need to note that this is, in fact, not the final form of this place. This is simply the final file that I have saved in my computer. Now, while I do have access to the actual final one, I didn't download it for this video, and it will take far too long to go back now. But over here, we do in fact have Jay's shop, blanking on the word there, Lily's shop, Lily's other shop, the little Coliseum Fight Club where I fought, I think somebody else once, and I fought a frog in there once, which was interesting. The dual beacon, which was going to become a triple, maybe even quadruple, or possibly sextuple or octuple beacon, but never came to that point. This is the pawn shop, my shop over here. Over here, spawn. I always like to tell the story of this. This is a failed shulker farm I tried to build. I built it in the overworld thinking it would be a cool idea. It would be fun to do. And it was, but I built it in a warm biome, so things didn't really go well when I tried to put in the snow golems. And before I die, I'm going over and going to show you this, which is the largest concentration of villagers that have been on this realm ever. As you can see, they're gonna have a maximum of at least 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, maximum of 8 iron golems. So however many villagers that translates to. That's how many are here. There's definitely a lot. It's definitely laggy. That's why you'll see me lagging in this area. But of course, this was one of my biggest projects on the season. Little mob farm. Up here on this hill, that was an old base. This was my sister's old base, believe it or not. Over here, that was Isabel's old base. You know, the only time you'll see her. We do have fire spreads off before you panic. This is Lily's tree over here. Sort of a totem to some kind of cult she tried to start. Through this portal and like around a ways, there is a mushroom island that does have Jay's base on it. It is very far out of the way though, so we will be skipping that for this tour. Now, as we load in, I am currently flying, so we get a bit of an overhead view of what is Season 3. And I'm going to start where I should start probably, at the start. Over here, this is my starting base, you know, was built first night just to keep away from the strays and hasn't moved since. This stands here as the earliest build on this place that still stands, so that's nice. This is my shop. It was selling mangrove stuff for a while, my glitched portal. Over up here, I have a bit of a decorated portal, although I usually use the glitch one just because it was cooler. Jungle tree in the middle of a tundra over there. That's Jay's shop. You know, I'm sort of speeding through this because I've done it twice now. 3 times, 4 times maybe even. Over here, this was Lily and Jay's starter base. Sarah would also spend her first couple of nights in that little base. This is Sarah's first season too, as a note. And we'll be seeing a whole lot of her builds. This is Sarah's. That's Sarah's, that's Sarah's. Sarah did all these lights, Sarah did all these paths, Sarah did this, Sarah did that. You know, there's going to be a whole lot of that going forward. Sarah didn't build this, but Sarah revamped this, because this is also 2 other people's first season. This is Braden's house, and this is Nick's house. Braden and Nick, this was both their first season. Here, Braden's house, he was banned from this season at least once, maybe twice. This isn't the only time he'll be banned. Of course, he'll come back a couple of times. I wanted to wire up something really cool for inviting him back. I forget why it did or did not happen, but it was going to be a really cool idea. Here is Sarah and Nick's combined house. Guess who built this? If you said Sarah, you're right. I'm technically not allowed, but I own the world, and this is a copy, so I am allowed in if I say I am. Haha, finally. In there, we have a bit of a villager trading area. You know, that's nothing special. I show you it, though. You know, nothing special. Over here, we have one entrance. What, is this an entrance into the underground? It might be. Hold up. Yes, it is. This is one entrance into the underground, although it's technically not a proper one. If we go... Is this an entrance into the underground? I don't know. I haven't been here in a while. It goes all the way down here, down to this. Oh no! What is this? I don't know. No, this is a cave. Yes. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what this is. I'm pretty sure Jay built it, though. It's just an entire staircase of nylium and wart wall. How long did this take you to build, Jay? What was the meaning behind this? Looks like a couple of pieces of bone meal were thrown into the floor. Huh. And there's this whole nylium cave, too. That's very odd. I'm glad this is here in this last tour, because I didn't see it the first 3 times. Anyway, over here, we do actually have another entrance into the underground. It goes out into a thing. But before we go into the underground, let's do all the overground stuff and the skyblock stuff. Over here, we do indeed have the town hall / church kind of thing. You know, there's just a bit of a gathering spot for us. Seeing a bit of lag here, too. This is one of the longer seasons, I do admit. Over here we have 2 trees, both built by Sarah. This was also built by Sarah. This was a bit of a longer season, I do admit. I always forget the time that went into the seasons. There will be, at the very end, a chart of every single season and how long it lasted. There will be a couple other statistics, too. I don't know what they are yet, but I will be throwing them up there at the end. Here, so, a bit of a story behind this. Skyblock. We all know Skyblock, but around halfway through this season, we were sort of getting bored of working down there. Even though we already had 2 separate parts to work on. We already had the underground and the above ground if we wanted it. But we wanted more. We wanted a skyground. So, I went out and gathered the extended list of things to gather for Skyblock. And we played it for a bit. It was fun. It was nice. You know, just a little bit. Nice little music disc. I built this Coliseum type thing up here. It wasn't great, but it served its purpose. It was really made for fighting wolves, I remember. But yeah, I think 3 of us went up there. I was the second to leave, and Nick, I'm telling you, if his account logged on right now, it would still be up there. That's how much time he spent up there and how long he ended up there. But of course, as I was noting before, this hill is entirely synthetically built. This was a stony shore. You can sort of see the natural landscape there. Jay decided he wanted to build a mob farm there. It was real ugly, so I took the liberty to cover it up completely in grass. That was hollow on the underneath. And we decided, as a group, I'm going to throw up an old picture on screen of this place before it was finished, because dang, it's quite different. But down here, we have, the mob farm. It's still a functioning mob farm, even after this huge transformation. But up here, we have the interior. Welcome. This is the main base of the mob farm. We wanted to make it a tree, throwing up the picture of all of the members here at the tree. We had some tree funds so we could build it. This whole tree was a joint effort between Sarah and I. I built the stem and a lot of the leaves. Sarah, filled in the leaves, a whole bunch of it. Again, I built the shell, but Sarah did all this texturing here below. It's absolutely amazing. Here is what is supposed to lead to that weird thing that we saw of Jay, that entire nylium staircase. Although I'm not sure if it does, because we wanted to somehow link... Yep, it does. We wanted to all link ourselves up in some sort of way. We all sort of wanted to have our own, sect of this. Of course, we'll see everybody's sect, but this was going to be Jay's, and Jay never really finished it. Over here, we have a little interior view of the cactus farm. You can sort of see the villagers' feet there, but this is a little bit of just a dripstone farm. I did indeed build this. Sarah built this little house here, though. Of course, there is no function to that one. Along with this, Sarah built this. Sarah built all of this. Again, part of the tree. On this rock face is my home, or at least my house. Up here, I have a secret base. Nobody found out about that until the season ended. Here we have just a little house. Lily stayed in that for a couple of days while she was building this. Now, this is the casino. Of course, it's very clearly never got finished, but this was where it was planned to go. This was Lily's project that never got finished, along with all of Lily's projects, which we'll see a couple more as we move through. Over here we have Sarah's little sect. Of course, hers is the best looking by far. Mine probably comes second. The Underglow, right? It had a name. We have a bunch of things. There are even a title for a couple of these, like here. Grum's Bakery, Deborah's Dyes, The Library. That one's quite the interesting name. But we do have all these sorts of buildings. A lot more of them have interiors than you would think, but, you know, some of them still don't. You know. And here's Sarah's main house down here. Melons. What is this? A little water fountain. And here we see this. There is a melon farm here. There are, I think, both melon and pumpkin farms. But of course, this is Sarah's humble abode here. Now, we get to go to mine. This is a moss farm. I needed moss for all this stuff, so I decided instead of bone meal in it, that gets a little messy, I'd just make a moss farm so I could place it manually. And I think it turned out nice, because there is a whole lot of moss that got used from this farm. Going in here, Sarah built both of these buildings. I had plans, I had these marked out, I had plans to build here, but Sarah went through and beat me to it, but these buildings do look amazing in here. Over here we have an old little storage cave. It used to look a little better, but I cleared it out for more storage before I built another storage, which you'll see coming up. Over here, plans for another thing, Worship little altar to this piece of moss right here. Don't mind the TNT. Over here, we do indeed have my bigger storage system. Although, I didn't really get to use this before the end of the season. I had plans to extend this further, but never ended up doing. Now, this is where we're going to end. We're going to end with the end instead of the tour usually goes. This is the amazing redstone that goes into this. This is near directly ripped from the ancient city technology, I hope you know. But this is the vault where we were planning on, I wanted to put a couple of armor stands around, but we were planning to put spare armor, spare gear, and this was going to actually be a cool, like, end season event, but never worked out that way. And that's fine. So, I'm pretty sure that is all of Season 3. Moving on to Season 4. Alright, loading in here. House. This is one of Sarah's houses. And this is Sarah's base. Starting here at Sarah's base, this is Sarah's base. We have an amazing water fountain here in the middle. Two amazing houses, all building on diagonals. Don't even get me started on that. Now that I've started building after Season 6, you know, I have a bit of knowledge about that. Over here, we have another house. This one has an interior. Nice looking interior, too. Up here, I think this is a bit of a farm. Nope. Supposed to be a bit of a farmhouse. Up here, we have a bit of a farm area. You know, nothing too special. This is going to be what was supposed to be a replication of another tower. Oh, there's Olympus. Another tower that you'll see. And that was going to be sort of watching over this. And this was Sarah's main house. I need to show you this part. This was sort of will become inspiration for my current project, actually. I just want you to leave this image in your mind as we move forward with all the tours. But we're actually not going towards Olympus quite yet. We're going to go down here towards the shopping district. This little circle of trees is, in fact, the shopping district. With this cool little flagpole in the center that I built, I really like it. I should have made these all source blocks, but you know. They only went so far. Here is my little inn. Sarah built that portal. I should show you guys the nether. Over here we have a pop-up shop. You know, Nick has something over there. There's a whole bunch. That's Lily's. Speaking of Lily, ooh, Ender Pearl Stasis Chamber. But speaking of Lily, this is actually Lily's house up here. Not the greatest, but it is. But yeah, after all the moving of the world I've done, a couple of chunk errors are bound to be found. I love the way it's just this circle of trees. It's very nice. It's very aesthetic. But over here, we do in fact have a graveyard. That's right. Don't even know what all these graves are for. I know this is for the pink sheep. These two, I have no clue though. I know actually the one with the copper is for a horse. Or was for a horse, you know. Over here, little chorus fruit. None too special. Sugarcane. Super smelter. Over here we have what was supposed to be a really cool build for the enchantment table. Didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. Actually, nowhere near it. Go ahead and grab a little extra rockets for the tour. Over here we have a giant gold farm. I think this was supposed to be an iron farm, maybe? I don't know exactly what it is, though. You know, there's just a couple of little manual farms around. Up here, I have my Firewatch tower. There is a whole video about this tower on my channel, so if you want to know a little bit about it, just go check out that video. That's where you'll see the most about it. Over here, this is my base. Not my base. This is a house that was built for me to live in, I should say. Sarah built this for me so that she could put all my stuff inside of it so it wouldn't look as ugly. Of course, that never happened. But I appreciate the sentiment and remember the sentiment. But over here, actually before we do that, we should probably go down, dip down to these two, and then we can go to Olympus. So we can end with that. Over here, we do indeed have Nick's Raft. There used to be a whole bunch of heads on this level, but of course that mod has been depreciated, and you'll see how that mod's depreciation has messed us up more in the next world. But, you know, it used to look better. There was a better version of the raft. Unfortunately, there was a whole scandal, which I can mention more in a video about this season specifically. There was a whole thing about a duplication glitch we found, and they abused it a little bit. I said it would be okay for, like, you know, like things that can't be obtained, you know, like if I wanted to give away the dragon egg or something like that, that's okay. And if it was okay for building materials too, but of course they went along, did it for netherite, so that wasn't funny, and then I had to erase a whole bunch of everybody's work, and it wasn't fun. But that's what happens whenever you exploit the game. Over here we have Braden got banned because he kept arguing with me. Because I said, like, hey, you messed up. Just accept it. Move on. It's all gone. And he said, no, we had the right to. We had the permission. And I said, no, you had provisional permission. So I banned him. Here, this is his base. Of course, Creeper shouldn't be included. But we sort of... It used to look, you know, not dilapidated. It still looked kind of ugly. But we decided to make it look abandoned after it was basically abandoned by him being banned from the realm. But now, we get to go over here to Mount Olympus. So, why did I do this to myself? I wanted to make this giant mountain cloud thing. And it was a really ambitious idea. It would be a really cool mega project if it wasn't built entirely out of wool. I don't know. There's going to be a bit of lag here because of all the sheep. Because of all the wool I had to get. You see, we're running at 20 frames per second here, which is actually kind of wild. But yeah, this is Olympus. The original plan, of course, never came to fruition. But, you know, I got far. I got pretty far. So, moving on yet again, we're going to be looking at Season 5. And we are almost done with this tour. Again. This is the third time I've done this full tour, and it is getting more and more annoying every time. Oop, midair. Okay, that's fun. Let's start with Sarah's base. Over here, this is an amazingly done base, and it would look even better, but you'll see around here there are a bunch of question mark blocks. These are all mini blocks, of course, that have been depreciated, so they're all this weird texture. And it's not even like with the other mod where they just got disappeared entirely. Since they were proper blocks, they got replaced with this. And that sucks for Sarah, but it used to look a whole lot better. You just gotta kind of take my word for it. But this is a really good base, especially with all the custom tree work that's going on. I know those are really hard to do. Sarah's done an amazing job on all of her bases so far. And I think this is just another testament to that. Moving over here to the sickle, as we called it, this is Nick and Braden's base. And I am going to refer to my base as my and Braden's base because he bounced around a couple times. This was the Christian time for the luck SMP. Nick decided he would make his character a devout Catholic, and we all sort of played along with it. It was pretty fun. There was a whole lot of lore that happened this season. There was a whole lot of lore pertaining to it, too, that happened during Season 4 last season, which are actual videos on my channel, which you can go watch, all the lore videos. Of course, not related to Season 2.5, which were completely different, although still connected to the overall lore of the thing. But yeah, he decided to be a very devout Christian this time, which is kind of very, very, you know, these two styles are very different. We have that kind of hobbity feel, but also like the glory to God sort of thing. But then over here we have like dark, hellish materials, you know. Quite ironic that those two ended up living together. But I can't blame them, because this is the wall. This is my base. The garden. This is my base. Of course, it's nowhere near completed. It's nowhere near where I wanted it to be, but it is in its final state. We have little villagers all running around farming for me. These allays picking it up. This whole farm is completely automatic, which is actually absolutely crazy to think about. Although, as you can see here, with with that zombie and that villager, the workforce was a bit iffy at best. But yeah, you can see that these things are chock full of mostly seeds, but still a little bit of everything. Oh, hi. Over here we have a little bit of a farmhouse. Here was Braden's old house. He was farming bees for some reason. Don't really know why. Here was my house. This was before the absolute builder arc that I will have next season, so kind of bad, kind of terrible. Over there you can see my raid farm, which I built. Over there, that's Lily's base. There's nothing too special to be seen over there. Over here, this is a bit of a mangrove area that I had to manually build that whole biome-ish looking thing. It was quite the ordeal. But, oh, if I don't just run to the side here. Up here, this was going to be my mega base. Of course, I didn't really get off the ground with it. But this also will be my mega base season 10. I have that, done for a fact. Over here, all these just mean that all those just meant that those, block subjects were grouped together. But yeah, we do, I started with the end, which was kind of a terrible idea, but I started with this sort of grungy sort of like labyrinth that you had to get out of to survive. I made it fall into this cave. There is no escape if you go into that cave. This is just like a dead end. Gravel fall. And then eventually it was going to go through here and then to somewhere. But of course it never happened. And just another kind of sad story of a very grand project that was never completed. Alrighty, time for my favorite season. Although the season 3 base was definitely my favorite, I think this is very easily my favorite season, individually. So, over here, let's start over with Sarah's base, then we'll go to Nick's base, then we'll go over to the big meat and potatoes of this. This is Sarah's base. We had a really big focus on community this time. So not only was I trying to combine the entire thing through a rail system, which you can see the remnants of there. I was trying to connect us all there before we got an Elytra, because this is the second longest season we waited to get an Elytra, second only to the current season, season 7. But over here, Sarah decided to make her base the storage of the entire server. Again, there was a huge focus on community this season, so we decided to keep all our storage in one place. Although, as Sarah built on the other side of the bowl shape we have here, the bowl, Sarah built on the other side of it, so it was kind of hard to do what we wanted to, but, wasn't impossible. I made a whole lot of trips over there on my feet before I got an Elytra. Over here we have Nick's base. He was also very religiously devout this season. That seems to be a very reoccurring theme. This is the only natural entrance to the outside other than going over the peaks. So that is what we call the entrance, Sanctuary's entrance. But then we have the main area here, and boy do I love it. And not only because I built more than half of it, it's just because it looks so good. Over here, this is a spawn build that never got finished. Sarah was working on it, but of course, tell me, at night this doesn't look peaceful. Also, if you haven't already noticed, my big project at the beginning of this season was to light up the entire bowl so none of us would ever have to worry about mobs at night again. I did pretty well. So then we could have just run around doing whatever we wanted. So yeah, we didn't really have to worry about the night cycle other than phantoms. But that aside, here we see the first concepts of a giant redstone base, another moss farm. But I wanted to have a very big, very rail themed base that would all funnel into one place. I was planning on having a sextuple beacon back there. Never ended up happening. But of course, the idea here was to have tiny little exhibits of what was being made. See here, you see bamboo sugarcane. Over here, we just see a single stalk, a single unit of the farm. But if you actually go through here and actually break in, there's a whole larger version of it. I should probably put the bamboo here so it could grow. Anyway, we did indeed put these versions here, these bigger versions, so that they would produce a lot more than they looked. you know, and we would get a whole lot more than it looked, and we would have a visual representation of what was made. Of course, we have this one over here. I don't know why I used mud blocks here, but I just did. Over here we have a gold farm, nothing too special. Yeah, I think that's all down here. Now time to talk about my building journey. First, I decided I was gonna try and build. Sarah had built the shell of this. It was going to be an inn hotel kind of thing. So I was like, why don't I decorate it a little? So I did. I went about decorating it. Of course, I made it like I wanted to make it look like something new was built on top of old ruins. So like the first story might have been like a foundation of an old house that was then built onto by a family trying to own an inn. Of course, very pinkish up here. Very, like, you know, medieval colors down there. But I decided I wanted to decorate it, so I did. It was very fun. So I was like, why don't I actually, like, build a house completely myself? So I went on Pinterest. I copied one, basically one-to-one. It's like, that was fun. Why don't I do it again? Went on Pinterest, basically copied it one-to-one. I built that completely freehand. It looked terrible. I was like, what if I try to stick to A-frames? I built this, not off of a direct tutorial, and I was like, yeah, well, that's pretty good. And then built that off of a direct tutorial, built that off of a tutorial, built those off of a lot of reference, but not directly off of something. And I built this completely free-handedly. Not sure how I like this one though. Over here I also built this, you know, it's just a tiny little oh, villagers finally find their way to it. That's nice. Of course, as you have seen, there are villagers, there are allays constantly throughout this place. Of course, this field is automatic in the same way the other one was. Actually, this place has a bit of an underground area itself, I forgot about. That was a bit of a maintenance area, a cactus farm. Up here, over here, we can see the spoils of the farm. There's currently nothing in here. But these were where all the potatoes would funnel from the automatic farm out there with the allays gathering it. Oh, and then I threw them all into the smelter, which is where all these baked potatoes are now. Oh no, this is another collection. Right, there were two collection systems on two areas, just so the allays wouldn't be flying away as much. Keep them sort of in check around here, so I'm pretty sure there's one like around here, one like around here, and they just seem to favorite that one, and that's fine. But oh no, never mind. The other one was built here to keep all of them around the market area. That's right. Okay. Yeah. For the other builds though, also I built that one directly from a tutorial. For the other builds though, Sarah, this was originally Brandon's field, but Sarah decorated it. This is Brandon's house, which Sarah and Nick then made completely, well, not completely, half acacia. And that was funny, but the prank would never be seen by Brandon as he would not log onto the realm after this. And that was built pretty early on, so that's kind of crazy. Sarah built this. Sarah built this, and that. Sarah did most of the path work. I laid out the paths very generally, and Sarah made them look good. I built that. Yeah, so overall, it was a pretty good structure. Now, for the final thing to talk about, I should probably talk about the town hall. This was a group project between Sarah, Nick, and I, although I probably helped the least. I provided the wool, which, you know, was a big help to them. But that was really all I did. I mean, I placed a couple of blocks, and I did the floor in here. And I gave most of the ideas about, like, the boards and the work orders and things like that. Again, all for a video about this season specifically. But, you know, I really had fun with this. We all really had fun with this. This is one of my favorite builds. You know, I say that about a lot of things. I just really love all the things we've built, but, you know, this is pretty good. Over here, oh, wait, over here real quick. That was going to be a build, never came. That was going to be the pub. Never happened. Over here, that was Kenneth. Chaos King's YouTube channel. Those group. Kenneth, he was playing this realm for a day. He built a tiny little house. You know, he's really good at building. He just didn't want to play. And, of course, built this from a tutorial. Pink sheep randomly, as per usual. And over here, this was going to be Braden's base, but of course the season ended before he could finish. Now, of course, we go ahead and we log on to what is currently the season that we play. Of course, as you can see, I'm logging on to the realm and not a world. And this is the funny thing about this one, is that, you know, nothing's static. We can change things around, and we can do whatever we want with it. Oh, I can't wait to make the lore video. Of course, this one I can't just explore in creative, unfortunately. Although I didn't do the tours in creative for all of them. This right here is my current project. Along with these, I want this to sort of be like a native population being shadowed by this giant factory here. I think I've done a really good job. And I'm going to talk to you about the contents of the factory last, actually. So you'll have to wait to hear about that. Up here, we have Braden and Brandon's base. They decided to team up the B squared duo and build this off of a video, which is honestly worse than Pinterest in my idea. But that's neither here nor there. Over here we have a village built by Minecraft. But here we have Jay's house. This is Jay's best house. Period. Hands down. It's, you know, it's not the greatest house I've ever seen, but, you know, it's not the worst. Over here, this is my starting sort of area. I have plans to build a train here. I'm not sure if I'm going to. At the beginning of the season, all of us decided we were going to do steampunk. I was the only one who built anything even slightly steampunk once. You know, this, and I guess you could consider the factory over there kind of steampunk-ish, and it will be even more once I'm done with it. But over here we have a train platform in the beginning of a train track. And I just want to point out this view for a second. I love the view of the factory from here. This is where the factory is best viewed from, just distantly on the horizon. Barely out of view, towering over everything. That's where it looks best, and it looks amazing like that. But following this path over here, before we get to the cool western type town that Sarah has going on over here, western sort of desertish, sort of a combination between the two, huh? But we get to the labyrinth. The labyrinth is my favorite part of the entire server, because it is just tunnels upon tunnels of just randomness. I've dug tunnels. This is Nick's base mainly, but I have assisted by digging a handful of tunnels. A number of people have actually assisted by digging a handful of tunnels. Of course, this one is, I think, the longest and the deepest one. But there are a whole lot of tunnels going every which other direction. And if you've seen any other videos on my channel where I run through a bunch of tunnels, this is those tunnels. You know, except now they're just a little more extensive since I recorded that little bit. But now I can use this one. Of me just running through the tunnels as free content for videos if I really want to. But if we do make our way through here towards the end, we will see that this actually comes out to my base. And this is in fact what was under that tile floor. An entire farm that feeds, well, multiple entire farms that feed directly to one item stream, all falling down this pit. It causes lag at some points how much is happening here. But if we go down to the bottom, if we drop all the way down, we can look at the consolidated collection system, where Everything that's produced comes in. And this isn't a very long list, but of what it produces, it usually produces a lot of. Of course, I've been running these resources relatively dry recently with villager trading and stuff like that, but it does produce a lot. You might have to take my word for it, though. Of course, this is an absolutely gigantic cactus farm, bamboo, whatever you think. It's ginormous. The biggest farm of every type I've probably built, I've built in there. Except for mob farm. That's the only exception. But, moving back over here, we see Sarah's little place. Now, as you've already heard me for a couple seconds do, I've still been debating what style this is actually built in. Sure, at a first glance, it kind of looks Western, probably because of the water tower, but maybe that's just the setting, because these houses are very colorful for a Western theme. And then you just sort of think. And then you go to the docks, and there's not necessarily docks in Western areas. But I don't know. It's very hard to tell. But this is an amazing base from Sarah, as always, video. Because ever since she joined back in Season 3, I think it's brought another level of livelihood. And it's very much so pushed me to actually, attempt to get good at building in this game we call Minecraft. But that has, in fact, been it from me. So, I'll let editing me take you with the intro. I'm so done with it.